Good morning, Facebook especially, and YouTube, who's also getting this video as soon as I finish it. It's going to be uploaded. I feel like crap this morning. It is 6:30 in the morning, maybe a little later. I've not been asleep. I have not been able to sleep all night because I've been repairing something. I'm going to give you guys a piece of advice. Please, this will save you guys $1,000+ It'll probably save you close to $2,000 by not doing what I did. The biggest mistake I've made money-wise on an appliance. Do not buy these. They're all over Amazon. There's a reason why they're not in home improvement stores, and you only find them. Yeah, I haven't been asleep, so just bear with me. I'm trying to save you guys a shit ton of money. And you're going to have to excuse my French because I'm kind of pissed off right now. But I'm going to show you this thing. And I'm going to tell you this, never get this thing. If somebody mentions this particular type of appliance, run for the hills or punch them in the face. And don't spend your money on it. So let me show it to you. Okay, it's not the tools. It's not the tools on top of it. This machine goes by many incarnations and many brands that carry this. This is a washer-dryer combo unit. And it's tempting to get this. You're thinking, oh, one machine can do my clothes. I don't have to move everything into the dryer. Let me show you the first thing. You kids out there, let me tell you something real quick about this thing. This says Magic Chef on it, but this goes by many brands. I'm not kidding you. There's a little crap factory somewhere in China that makes this thing. And there's 5 or 6 different companies right now on Amazon that sell it with all kinds of rebadging on it. But yeah, Magic Chef ought to be ashamed to do what they do with this. This, in the real world, this does not work. And I'll explain it later because I'm going to explain how it works. But let me show you the first reason you don't want to buy this thing. So you go to put in a load of clothes. You turn it on. Yeah, that's right. That's the standard load. That's the standard settings right there. Look at how long that's going to take to do a load of clothes that's the size of 2 loaves of bread. And I'm not even kidding. That's the maximum this thing can do. And it's going to take you, that's the regular setting. Now what's going to happen is after about 6 months, this thing is going to completely not be able to dry your clothes on that setting. So you're going to have to go to the next one up. Oh yeah, touchscreen. It's a pain in the ass. The next one up. That's how long it's in the real world going to take. I think that's the regular. Yeah, that's the regular setting. Is it? Let's see. That's the maximum. And that's where you're going to end up washing and drying your clothes in this thing. Drying being a joking concept for this machine. You know, in the beginning when you buy this thing, you can even run it on the minimum setting. The minimum setting, let me punch it through for you, is still going to take you over 4 hours to do a load of clothes. A tiny, like maybe 2 changes of clothes this thing can do, maybe 3. This thing is small. There's wet clothes in here even as we speak right now. I ran it all night after putting the OEM. Oh God, I'm going to have to tell you this story. Don't buy this thing. Don't buy this thing. I'm just going to turn it off because I got to take those clothes. They're not even close to dry. They're as sopping wet as when I put them in there. Let me, first of all, if you're in a house, well, first of all, if you have any pets, anything that sheds hair, you see down there on that mat? Yeah, this is what accumulates, and it accumulates in gobs in this thing, man. It doesn't get it out. It gets the lint out. That's no progress as well. They always get bound up with lint. Lint is not the problem for this machine. This machine, look at this. This is what I got out. And you're going to get way more than this. This is from a clean tub. I cleaned this machine. This is that load that's in there. And that's just a tiny bit. It actually, that's a small example. I'm going to go back and turn the camera around. Had to get back up. My knees aren't what they used to be. It took me a little while to pick myself up. And I don't think you don't want to, I don't think you want to go through the time it takes me to get up off the ground at 51. Anyway. So yeah, that's the first thing. It's going to bind itself up. And everyone says, you've got to clean the heat exchanger. Why do I have to take that thing apart every couple of months or more to clean a heat exchanger of all the hair and to clean the pumps of all the hair, It cannot get rid of pet hair. Human hair will go right through it. I don't ever find human hair. That white hair that was in that clump, that's that dog in there. That's silver, that's that cat in there. And when it was another color, that was that big dog when it was in there. It cannot pump hair out. It cannot get rid of it. There's no lint filtering of any kind in this thing that can catch that. So it just recirculates and recirculates in the machine until it's finally so bad that the machine is bound up. So yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of pump servicing on that machine. That's the first thing. Lint and hair. It can't really it's mediocre at what it does. The very next thing, I got that thing about 6 months ago. If you got good water, you're not going to have to worry about this, maybe. I don't know. Here is the second thing you're going to be replacing on this thing. This right here. You know what this is? This is the water intake valve on that machine. Let me tell you why you're going to be replacing that. It goes with how that ventless dryer works. You see, this has 3 valves. You got one is for your water, one is for your bleach or fabric softener, whatever the hell's in that second thing. That's the other thing. They don't give you good instructions on how to set those things up. I know where to put the washing detergent, and that's about it. I don't know anything about those other 2. And they don't say anything about them in the manual, but it doesn't have anything to do with this. This is how it selects those different functions. This is the cold water side. You see this side here, in this one right here, there is a regulator, a tiny, I don't know if I can put it where you can see it, but in this one, there is a tiny regulator in there. It's got a micron size. It's very, very, not micron size, but it's tiny. I mean, it's barely a trickle comes out of this thing. And the reason they do that, there's a heat exchanger in there. And the way that thing dries your clothes without a vent is it heats that chamber up and heats those clothes up. And you got to be careful with this with delicate clothes. It heats them up until everything starts to steam in there. The water on your clothes, everything, it's hot enough to go to steam. It doesn't have to be like boiling hot, but, it's circulating that steam around in there. Well, they have a heat exchanger in there, a plastic heat exchanger that steam-filled air goes through, and they take and they put a trickle of cold water through that heat exchanger. It goes in through this valve and then out the bottom. There's air moving over this thing. Well, it goes out the bottom of this thing, and it goes into the tub and into the pump, and the pump comes on every few seconds. I think it's like every 20 seconds that pump comes on, and it takes that water plus the water that condensed, because that water coming out of the tap is colder than that steamy air that's going around in there. So it condenses that water out of that air that's circulating over that exchanger. And what happens is, when that steam is condensed out of the air, more comes out of your clothes, by virtue, nature abhors a vacuum. So that goes through there, and that does the same thing. It just repeats that cycle over and over again with all the steam that comes out of your clothes. And when the thing is working, and here's the thing about it, there is a golden ratio. This is an exact thing, this regulator, an exact thing. There's a tiny little amount. And what that means is this regulator has an impossibly small orifice in it. an impossibly small water channel in it. So when you have hard water, guess what the first damn thing to clog up is? Doesn't matter how much pre-filtering you put on this thing is going to clog up. I have cleaned this valve one time already, and it's impossible to do it easily. This is not made to be taken apart. Once this thing craps out, my sinuses are all messed up. I haven't gotten any sleep. So once this thing craps out, good freaking luck. You're on a never-ending quest to find this exact replacement. And guess what? I've been looking for 6 months for this. I thought I found the OEM part. I put it in there. It has the little regulator and everything. But guess what? It lets too much water through. It's not compatible with this original valve. So the clothes don't get dry. They stay sopping wet. Once this water flow stops out of this little bitty valve, out of this little bitty regulator, and there's no water going through that exchanger, your clothes don't dry. Well, guess what? If it's the other way around and there's even a slight amount too much water, it's not a huge difference from this. The one I got is almost exactly like this. They still won't dry because if you have any standing water in the machine, even if the pump is if it comes up into that tub above that pump and it starts to fill that tub, even slightly, the clothes won't dry. And that's what's happened. It lets too much water through. So you got this narrow, and I don't kid you, it's a tiny, tiny, narrow little margin. That ratio that you have to have. It's a tiny band in that ratio for that thing to work right. It's not even a real world. I don't even know why they even try to build washing machines that do this. Because, hey, I'm in mineral wells. There's a reason it's called mineral wells. This submicron crap regulator shit. It didn't even run 6 months. I started having problems. For the day I got that thing, it never properly dried. They got you ever set a dryer for damp? It doesn't fully dry them. You can touch them and you can feel they're still wet. It's dry, but it feels wet, And that only got worse as time went on, and I had to start using longer and longer dry cycles. So I read, well, you got to clean out that heat exchanger. You got to vacuum all that crap out of the heat exchanger. So that was the first thing I did. I looked in there. The heat exchanger's clean. That thing looks brand new. It's good. And what it was the whole time was this damn valve clogging up. The calcium getting in this thing, this assembly. Now, you go on Amazon and you start looking for this thing. Oh, there's a million of them out there look exactly like this. Some that even say they're compatible with this part number. Good freaking luck. Good freaking luck. Don't make the $1,200 mistake I made of buying one of those things. They don't work right from the very day you set them up. What'll happen is, it's dry, but it's not really as dry as I'd like it, but I guess it's working, and you'll keep going. And then and you don't even notice imperceptibly, just one day you realize this thing isn't drying my clothes. It gets to that point of being that bad. I'm running it at full cycle. Now I'm having to put it in a dedicated dry mode, and it's still not drying my clothes. And you're keeping them under the weight, it says, and you're doing all these things. Pretty soon all you can wash and dry are synthetics because nothing else will dry in it. And then synthetics won't even dry after a while. They just roll around in there and get hot. So it's to hell with it. And I thought I would let you all know. When you go on Amazon, don't buy that thing. When somebody even mentions a washer-dryer combo unit to you, run for the hills or punch them in the face. Depends on how much you like them or dislike them. But, and I have to eat that. I have to eat the cost of that thing. And I don't want you guys to have to be eating the cost of it. So stay away from washer-dryer combos. That's a big gimmick. This whole green, it's efficient. How efficient is it if it doesn't get your job done for hours and hours and hours? And it eats lots of power. And because it depends on water to do its job. How much water is it going through? It's going, let me tell you, it's going through lots. I actually figured it out. About every 5 minutes, that thing burns 2.5 gallons of water. So your water bill's going to go up. How efficient is that? Your electric bill's going to go up. It's a 110 volt product. And because you get to the point where you have to do a dedicated dry, your dry cycles are getting longer and longer no matter what you do because your valve is going to crap. You're using more power, ultimately. You're using lots of power. So, yeah. Your best bet, if you're going to do a closet setup like we did in there, if you're going to do a closet setup, get you an over and under vented dryer and just drill the damn 4-inch hole in the wall and put the duct in. You know? I'll never use one of those things again, and I pray you guys don't get suckered into that. I pray you guys don't get suckered into that, because that's what I could have done first with the $1,200 I spent on it, and what I could have done with the 40 more bucks I spent on the valve set that didn't work. You know. So, and then you also have to count the cost of the Y adapters, the hose, the piping that I put in for the thing, you know. Because I thought it was going to, this is cool. We can just, we can stay on top of our laundry because when we use some clothes, we could just walk in the closet and throw them in there with a couple other changes and wash them real quick. And no, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. That whole thing is pie in the sky. So, yeah, if you're going to do that, do what I'm about to do. As soon as I have the money for it, that thing's going to the dump. And I'm getting an over and under standard dryer, standard washer, compact apartment size. That's the best way to go. That right there that's like techno cool, techno sexy. But you know what? The new comes off that thing real fast. I'm going to tell you. Now, that's the end of my video. And it's a long one. But I just wanted to exactly stress my point to you guys. Because I know how much everybody hurts for money. When you go and you drop a grand on that thing plus, and within 6 months you're dealing with shit like this. Yeah. And a machine that can't clean itself or dry, I've got the new OEM valve in there. I ran it all night, and it's even worse now than it was when I had the original one. Well, it can't get much worse because the clothes don't get dry. But, yeah, just garbage. Don't buy it. Stay far, far away from it.